Hello and welcome back to HEMA Fight Breakdowns. Today I want to break down something that I've somewhat done before, but mostly want to cover again as a bit of a clarification and sort of make its own video. And that is the action of counter-zwerching, and then more specifically what to do when counter-zwerching specifically with the left zwerch and getting into a grapple and getting out of that. So we're going to see an example of that here in a second. So there's a couple things that I want to break down here. The first is right as the first Zwerch is thrown, what I consider a counter Zwerch is anytime you attempt to throw a Zwerch underneath of someone else's Zwerch. In this particular case, I am about to throw a left Zwerch, and my opponent has pulled back to try to throw, I think, what is more or less a general just cut to my head. But the principle still applies. By throwing my Zwerch underneath of his, despite the fact that I make contact on his blade and not on his body, I prevent this cut from being able to go into my face, and it instead glances off my sword, off into space. Now, in my personal opinion, this does not land because this is the point of contact, and then after it's done and it's stuffed, it sort of lays on his shoulder. But what's more important is that anytime you go for a counter Zwerch, specifically a left counter Zwerch, and it fails, you get put in this position. Your arms are across above your head, off to your right side while your blade is on your left. And when you close in to distance, this happens where you're sort of left in a position where your right arm is now getting pushed over towards your left side into your own face. And it's a very, very inconvenient position to be in because it is very trivial from this position for your opponent to kind of pull your blade down, take control of both of your arms at once, and put you in a position where you will never free up your sword again. Basically right here, your point's down towards the ground, your blade can't get into action. There's no capability for you to sort of unwind your hands because you're being pushed in this direction, and theoretically, your blade kind of can't pull off and come back around without repositioning your entire body. So instead, what I have found is very helpful to do is that when your blade is in this position, you can kind of wax off with your left hand, as I do here, and push your opponent's blade while keeping this hanging parry with your right hand, or if you're right-handed, with your dominant hand and in that zone. Because in this particular position, my opponent can't drive their sword to their left and around to my side because my hand is in the way. And if they were to pull in the same direction as my hand and go over to their right side and then try to throw a cut over there, my hanging parry's in the way there. And basically you want to imagine that you kind of like hold up your sword like you're doing saber fencing in that classic, hanging roof parry guard. And you're just using your arm underneath of it to take control of your opponent's arms. And once you have them up, you can take your blade up and do all of the things that you can do from any grapple. Because I have control of my opponent's arms and they have not elected to remove their left hand from their sword and try to parry my guard, I can pretty easily keep their sword from doing anything meaningfully by just putting pressure on it until an opening presents itself, and then I can throw a cut, in this particular case a cut, into the opening that gets created. So counter Zwerchs are something that a lot of people, I think, know about and know to try to do. But I think a lot of people prefer to throw right counter Zwerch specifically because it does not leave you in this kind of vulnerable position. And with this particular technique, I think you can help bail yourself out of this bad sort of position, still execute a good grapple, and still have a good follow-up afterward, despite the fact that I think for a lot of people, throwing left Zwerch and having it stuffed is possibly one of the worst grappling positions you can put yourself in. All right, that's going to be it for today. If you'd like to see your own footage featured on the channel, feel free to send it over to me at HEMAFightBreakdowns@gmail.com. Thanks, and hope to see you next time.